Okay everyone, so our first topic for the new year is going to be about converting units, so changing units between centimetres and millimetres and litres and millilitres and grams and kilograms and all that kind of stuff. This video talks to you about all the kind of lengths, so all the things that you can measure with a ruler or a measuring tape, and then there's going to be another little video that talks about volume and weight. Okay, but this one's got quite a lot of different things in it, so it's a video all to itself. So the first thing we need to remember is that 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. If you think about the ruler, there's 10 little lines between the 0 and the 1, so 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. So we're going to turn each of these centimetres into millimetres, and in order to change centimetres to millimetres, all you need to remember is you have to times by 10. Now, it's up to you. I don't mind if you want to use a calculator for this, or you might remember how to do it without a calculator. Totally up to you guys. So, 4 centimetres, we're doing 4 times by 10, and that's going to give us 40 millimetres. So, 4 centimetres is going to be 40 millimetres. 15 centimetres, we're doing 15 times 10, so that'll be 150 millimetres. And then 10 centimetres, that's going to be 10 times 10, which is 100 millimetres. And it's important to make sure you write down the right units every time. So these ones are all going to be millimetres. Now, the next three are written a little bit of a different way. We've got 5 centimetres, 8 millimetres. Now, another way you might see that written is 5.8 centimetres. So you've kind of got two options here. You can think about 5 centimetres, 8 millimetres as 5.8 centimetres. And when we times that by 10, we'll get 58. Or, and I'm going to draw up here just for space, the 5 centimetres would be 50 millimetres if we times it by 10. But then we would have to add on 8 millimetres, and that's why we would get 58. So two different ways to think about it. You pick whatever way works for you, whatever way you understand best. Same with this next one. 2 centimetres, 9 millimetres is going to be 2.9 centimetres, which when we times it by 10 will give us 29 millimetres. Or you might think about it as 20 millimetres from that 2 centimetres plus 9 millimetres, and there's where your 29 would come from. Okay, and then finally the last one in this first row, 7 centimetres, 1 millimetre. Otherwise, we might write that as 7.1 centimetres, and that's going to be 71 millimetres, or the 7 centimetres becomes 70, and add the 1 is 71. Okay, so that was turning centimetres to millimetres, and we were timesing by 10. So if we look at this next part, we're turning millimetres to centimetres. We're going the other way. So instead of timesing by 10, we're going to be dividing by 10. Okay, so again, use your calculator. Do it without a calculator, whatever's easiest for you. 50 millimetres, 50 divided by 10 is 5. So that's going to give me an answer of 5 centimetres. 130 millimetres, 130 divided by 10 is going to be 13. So that gives me 13 centimetres. 14,000 millimetres. Okay, big number, but if we divide that by 10, we're left with 2 zeros on the end, so we have 1,400 centimetres. Now, 87, not as easy to divide by 10 because there's no zeros on the end, but we're going to get 8.7 centimetres. 355 millimetres, we're going to get 35.5 centimetres. That's not written very well. Let me write that again, guys, so that looks a bit clearer. 35.5 centimetres. There we go. And 9 millimetres. Now, if we think about this carefully, there's 10 millimetres in a centimetre, so 9 millimetres isn't even quite a centimetre. It's going to be 0.9 centimetres. So that's how we turn millimetres into centimetres, and the opposite way around, centimetres into millimetres. Okay, now we're moving up a level, and we're thinking instead of millimetres and centimetres, we're thinking about metres and centimetres. So what we need to remember this time is that 1 metre, think about a metre stick, 1 metre is 100 centimetres, so 100 centimetres in 1 metre. So when we're turning metres into centimetres, we're going to be multiplying by 100, and then when we go the other way, when we turn centimetres to metres, which we're going to look at in a wee second, we're going to be dividing by 100. And remember, you can use this video to help you when you come to a question. You can go back and look at it again to remind you what type of a sum we need to do. So 3 metres, metres to centimetres, we're timesing by 100, so 3 times 100 is 300 centimetres. 5 metres, same idea again, we're going to have to do 5 times 100, which is 500 centimetres. 14 metres, 14 times 100, 1,400 or 1,400 centimetres. Now, next one's a decimal one. 6.3, when we times that by 100, if it was just 6 metres, it would be 600. So this one's going to be 630 centimetres. Now, the last two are written a little bit like the ones we did previously. 5 metres 18 centimetres, we could see written as 5.18 metres like we had in that previous example. And 5 metres 8 centimetres would be 5.08, so you might see them written like that. If we times them by 100 then, we're going to get 518 centimetres, and we're going to get 508 centimetres. Or you can think about them like we thought about the last ones. The 5 metres would be 500 centimetres, and then you've still got 18 centimetres, so you can add that together, and there's where the 518 would come from. Or the 5 metres is still 500 centimetres, and then add on 8 centimetres, and there's where your 508 would come from. So that's another way of thinking about it, remember, that you might find easier. Centimetres to metres this time, same idea, but we're dividing by 100. So 200 divided by 100 is 2, there's 2 metres. 3,000 divided by 100 is 30, so 30 metres. 450 is going to be 4.5 metres. 90 centimetres, now again, if we think about that, that's not quite a metre. That's going to be 0.9 metres. So we could have decimal answers like that, that's fine. And then the last one is going to be 67.9 or 0.90 metres. Okay. Now, the final one where it comes to lengths, we're doing kilometres to metres or kilometres to metres and metres to kilometres. So the fact we need to know this time is that 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres. Okay, so we've kind of gone up by a 0 every time with these lengths. So to turn kilometres to metres, and metres to kilometres, to turn kilometres to metres, we're going to have to multiply by 1,000. And turn metres to kilometres, we're going to have to divide by 1,000. Okay, so these are the last two examples. So 4 kilometres, 4 times 1,000 is going to be 4,000 metres. Okay, 7 kilometres, 7 times 1,000 is going to be 7,000 metres. 15 kilometres, 15 times 1,000 is going to be 15,000 metres. Okay, now the next one. 3 kilometres, 500 metres, or we might see that written as 3.5 kilometres. Times that by 1,000, we get 3,500. Okay, or the 3 kilometres, 3 times 1,000 is 3,000, and then add on that 500 is 3,500. Okay. Next one, same idea. Now, 7 kilometres, 80 metres. Actually, if we were to write it as a decimal, you would have that as 7.08. 7.08. Okay, so when we multiply that by our 1,000, we're going to get 7,080 metres. Okay, or again, 7 kilometres is 7,000 metres. Add the 80 is 7,080. Okay, and then the final one 19 kilometres 1 metre. Now, if you were to see that as a decimal, it would actually look like this, 19.001. So when we times that by 1,000, we're going to get 19,001 kilometres. Or you can think about it again, like we've said, 19 times 1,000 is 19,000, and add on the 1 is 19,001. Okay. And then finally, metres to kilometres. Okay. So 9,000 metres divided by 1,000 is going to give us 9 kilometres. 5,000 metres, divide that by 1,000 is going to give us 5 kilometres. 4,800 metres, divide that by 1,000, 4.8 kilometres. And then we would have 16.5 kilometres, so you can check these with your calculator, make sure you get the same answers. 800 metres, now if 1,000 metres is a kilometre, this isn't quite going to be a kilometre, it's going to be 0.8. And then the last one, 15 metres, so that's quite short if you think about 1,000 metres being a kilometre. 15 metres is going to give us 0.015 of a kilometre. Now, you probably want to use this video to do the exercises in the worksheets that I've set for you that are just about changing lengths, and then watch the other one before you do the kind of ones that are about changing volume and the ones that are about changing weight. Okay, but it's up to you. You've got Mrs. Sorley on Monday, and you've got me and Mrs. Lasovia at other points during the week that you can come on and ask us, or you can just put a question up anytime if you're stuck. Okay?